Shout out to everyone supporting Eternal JoJo. We hit 5,000 subscribers on YouTube earlier this week, and we also hit 100 followers on Twitter. Apart from these two milestones, I hit 20 on the 6th of May. Officially, I'm not a teenager anymore, and not until I'm 113. Oh, Jesus, that was bad. Just please ignore that. Another fun fact is that Takehito Koyasu, aka Dio's voice actor, turned 53 on May 5th. One day before me. I almost got born on the same day as the GOAT voice actor of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but whatever, it's close enough. Anyway, guys, it's been a fantastic week, but this part of the week is the least enjoyable because even though I enjoyed ranking JoJo parts last week, I did not enjoy ranking the main JoJos themselves because this list was so hard to make. I literally adjusted it like 20 times throughout the creation process, and I think I finally got it. In case you haven't read the manga, don't worry, you can still watch the video because once I rank the manga protagonists, I'm just gonna briefly mention them and I'm not gonna spoil anything about their stories, about their developments or anything like that. So you can watch the full video. Don't get salty if you disagree with me. We all have different opinions. Let's get right into it. At number 8, I have Joseph Joestar. Now, I know for a fact that a lot of you are going to be pissed off about this because Joseph, to a lot of people, is the best JoJo, and I completely understand that. But again, you have to understand that we have different opinions. I genuinely like all JoJos, but I like other JoJos more than Joseph. I disagree with the elitists that laugh at people who have Joseph as their top JoJo and people who say that Joseph has no character development because that's simply not correct. But I also cringe whenever I see people hating on others for not having Joseph as their number one JoJo and spamming those people with like stupid memes. I don't like either of these extreme positions, and personally I just like JoJo. Of course I like JoJo, I make videos about it, but personally I like Joseph for who he is, and I think he's a great character, but once again I like other JoJos more. At number 7, I have the most badass JoJo protagonist out there. Of course, I'm talking about Jotaro Kujo. Now, Jotaro Kujo is a very interesting protagonist because his character development literally spans throughout multiple parts, part 6 included, and I feel like part 6 has a particular moment that sums up really well how far Jotaro came. Of course, I'm not going to include that moment in this video because I don't want to spoil it for the anime onlys because part 6 still isn't animated. Anyway, for those of you who haven't read the manga, you'll see it once it gets animated, but I really feel like his character arc is circled really nicely in part 6, and overall I really like Jotaro. I don't think I have anything else to add about him, so let's move on to the 6th spot. At number 6, I have Giorno Giovanna. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole thing of, him having a little bit of Dio in him and him having a little bit of Jonathan in him because so many YouTubers explained it before me, and I'm sure that everyone's sick of hearing about this, but to me, what's more impressive is the fact that Araki executed this beautifully by giving Giorno such a strong backstory, because if it wasn't for that backstory, Giorno would feel like a badly written fanfic character and he just wouldn't feel natural. That said, I also like Giorno's role throughout part 5. I like how he influences his comrades, but the only reason why he isn't higher on my list is because I personally feel as though he had more potential. Not saying that he's a badly written character or anything like that, because that would imply that Jotaro and Joseph are somehow bad, which is not correct. But I'm just saying because as I was making this list, I was shocked to see that Giorno is only my 6th favorite character. I thought he would be much higher, but no, he's 6th, and there are 5 JoJos there that I like more than Giorno. So anyway, Giorno is a fantastic JoJo, but I like a couple of JoJos more than him. Let's continue with the video. At number 5, I have Higashikata Josuke. Now, the reason why I have Josuke so high on my list is because I personally relate to Josuke a lot, and that's pretty much it. Furthermore, when I watched part 4 for the first time, I had long hair and I could relate to Josuke being super pissed off at people shit-talking his hair. In my case, it wasn't that people were telling me that my haircut is bad, it's just that they were telling me to cut it because men are supposed to have short hair. Now, in the meantime, I cut my hair not because of other people who told me to do so, but because I personally wanted wanted to change, so I don't really relate to that aspect of Josuke's character right now, but overall I feel as though Josuke is very relatable to a lot of young guys, and I feel like that's the beauty of how his character was written in part 4. In terms of complexity, he might be one of the least complex JoJos out there, but to me the fact that he's so likable and relatable puts him so high on my list. At number 4, I have the first JoJo, Jonathan Joestar. Eventually I'm gonna do a video about him because I feel as though he's the most underrated JoJo protagonist and overall one of the most underrated JoJo characters. That said, I'm not gonna get into any details right now, but I'll say this, stay tuned for the Jonathan Joestar video. And as a final point, I fucking love Jonathan Joestar. At number 3, I have best girl herself, Jolene Cujo. Now listen to me, I completely get it. Some of you are typing Foo Fighters right now in the comment section, but the title I'm talking about is Best Girl, not Best Plankton. And in case you haven't read Stone Ocean, what I said literally sounds ridiculous, but keep in mind many JoJo related things look fucking awful without context. So with that said, let's move on to the second and the first spot because Jolene isn't animated yet, so I don't want to spoil anything. Neither are the first two JoJos, but like whatever, let's just move on. Now, before I announce the first two spots, I will say this. There's a high probability that my second favorite JoJo will eventually become my favorite JoJo, but that depends on the execution of Gappy's character arc, and I literally spoiled it. Number 2 is Gappy from part 8, and number 1 is Johnny from part 7. Starting from part 7, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure turned seinen, and this is obvious when you look at how complex the protagonists starting from part 7 really are. Don't get me wrong, the previous JoJos were all great, but everything after part 6 is on a whole new godlike level. And Araki, if you're watching this, thank you for existing.